Guys, it's Friday, and that means we are in for a treat, a real treat today. I am thrilled to invite a guest to come and speak to us, Patrick Halgren. Patrick, thank you. Before I do, I want to ask our friend and teammate Tori, who introduced us to Patrick, to maybe give us a little background. How do you know Patrick, Tori? Tell us all about him. What are we in for today?
Yeah. So I probably won't do this justice, but hello, everyone. Good morning, Pat. So good to see you. So we're really lucky to be joined here today with my friend Patrick. Pat and I go way back. We both grew up in Tolland. Our closest friends are from the same family. And over the years, our circles overlapped more and more. And by high school and college, I was even dating one of his best friends, Joe, which meant I had a front row seat to a lot of their shenanigans. To give you a quick glimpse into Pat's personality, I wanted to just share one story. For those of you, if you know Soapstone Mountain, in summers, you know it's a steep paved climb to the top. And one day, Pat and his twin brother Lucas and Joe decided it would be a great idea to race toddler-sized tricycles with no brakes, barely steerable, definitely not built for grown men, all the way down the mountain. And I followed behind them as their so-called safety support in my car. So that just tells you, how normal their chaos was to me. Um, and they
Is
did
this
it for
on
me.
video? This is what, like, is there some video of this somewhere?
I'm sure it's got to be somewhere.
I mean,
I
this
got to dig
sounds
for
too good to not be able
it.
to see at some point.
Yeah. So basically, I just share that with you guys because that mix of fearlessness, grit, determination has always been a part of who Pat is. Um, but what he's done with that and those traits is nothing short of extraordinary. After a devastating motorcycle accident in 2013 that left him in a coma for a month and led to the amputation of his left leg above the knee, and after a heartbreaking loss of his twin brother Lucas in 2016, Pat kept pushing forward. Today, he's a Paralympic alpine skier, a world championship competitor, and a member of Team USA, as you see from all his swag. So, Pat, I just wanted to say that I love you and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful you're here today.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Pat. Welcome to the Miale team. We are, a ragtag group of misfits working hard every day to do the best we can and be the best we can. And we have people come and speak to us who inspire us, who are leaders, who are people who have overcome, extraordinary obstacles. And this started several years ago for us, maybe about 6 years ago. I started bringing people here because what I had realized in the pursuit of my own best life, that I got really lucky and got to talk to and be around really great people often, because I'm the guy with the name on the sign. I'd get invited into some pretty cool rooms, and I'd go and get into these rooms and I'd learn some stuff, and then I'd come back and spew it all over the team and try to teach everybody everything. And I realized I was pretty abysmal at the transfer. So I just decided I'm going to get out of the way and bring the leaders to the team. So welcome, Patrick. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. I've been blessed in this world with opportunity, most of it, suffrage, and that's what builds character when it really comes down to it. Is those things you don't want to do. Those are the things that are going to make you better.
Amen.
Um, and yeah, just, stuff like this is really cool because I kind of get to see the gratitude of all the hard work and all the, suffrage, if you will, that I've done. I get to kind of pay it forward and just, really tell. I mean, we all kind of know what it is. It's, be nice and work hard, have a
Yeah,
dream, and it'll probably come true. But, when somebody cuts you off in traffic, it's really hard to be really nice to them.
all
It's
the time.
really, yeah, it's really
Yeah,
hard to
yeah.
just put in all that hard work all the time. Like it is, it's something you have to practice, and it comes with experience. So I'm
So
just kind of,
tell us about that for you, Patrick. Like you're on a path that very few people in the world will ever have an opportunity to experience. You compete at the highest level in a sport that you love. I spent a little time doing a little research this morning, watched some of your YouTube videos. I mean, you've traveled all over the world, you've competed, like you're around amazing people, and you've done that with the very obvious adversity of having lost your leg, having gone through a traumatic experience. Um, Take us back to the beginning, like when this journey for you started. Like when did you realize like you were destined to do something big? How did you know it? And then how did you pursue it?
yeah, it's funny because I always kind of explain it as this kick in the butt that I needed. Even in grade school and high school, and, around, time me and Tori were real close, I always thought I was special. Like, oh, I'm something extraordinary, but I never really did anything special. I just kind of did the same thing everybody does, thinking I would get a different outcome, and it just wasn't the case. And honestly, yeah, the crash that I had in 2013 was eye-opening, but it wasn't even really the kick in the butt that really made me look back in hindsight and realize that if I want to be that special guy, I have to execute, I have to do special things. And that was kind of my twin brother when he passed. He was in a motorcycle accident, and I really realized, life is fragile, and if you're not having these high ups and downs, mostly downs, then you're just living this mediocre life. And I would dare to say you're not really living, you're just kind of existing. And if you have these ups and downs, these crazy, oh, this stinks, that was a bad day. And then finally, you fail and you fail and you fail and you finally get that success, or maybe you never do. But that is what truly living is kind of like towing that line between failure and looking embarrassed. And that's kind of what it's about. And yeah, that was probably 2017 when my brother passed. It was that was the kick in the butt I needed to be like, okay, I'm gonna hunker down and put my eggs in one basket and get really good at one thing. And that was kind of the beauty from necessity, I guess, if you will, but really the kick in the butt that I needed, and thankful that.
You said some really cool things that I just want to touch on. And obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we're jumping right in the deep end here. So buckle up. Everybody buckle up this morning. You said that a life worth living involves the ups and downs, right? The extreme failures and the extreme successes. We talk about that a lot on the team. We talk about that a lot just in our pursuit of excellence, how failure is so inherently part of it. That being bad at something, not achieving the ultimate goal right from the get-go is actually part of it. And that we have to accept that in order to be extraordinary, in order to be great, you actually have to suck. Like you have to be terrible for a really long time. And that's super uncomfortable for most people. Most people never want to choose to suck at something. And so like it doesn't even make like logical sense. They're like, why would I ever do something I suck at? Shouldn't I just do the stuff that I'm naturally good at? And you talked about embracing that as a method for, achieving greatness. I use a mantra frequently, which is exactly what, like in the bad moments or the good moments, it's all part of an action-packed, fulfilling life. It's just something that I repeat whenever confronted with challenges or difficulties. It's all part of an action-packed, fulfilling life because they're inevitable, right? If you are in pursuit of anything, of any kind of challenge, you're gonna stumble and you're gonna fall. What do you use? Because you had to overcome some things that most of us will never have to imagine. We won't have to lose our twin brother. We won't have to lose a limb. Um, you won't have to be, most of us, God willing, will never have to encounter that challenge. And yet, you're out there hitting new heights as a human being in order to live your life. There's got to be good days and bad days. What's your method? How do you approach it? How do you find inside of you what you need in order to overcome those days when it's like, man, this is hard?
Yeah, honestly, I've found that, there's people, it could always be worse, right? There's people out there that are given, 3 months to live, or are given these terrible things where it's over. Like, people die, and kind of realizing that I'm not dead, I'm living, and seeing the gratification of that vulnerability, putting yourself on that out on that limb. If you want to, get a, dance with a girl, you got to go ask girls to dance, and that you're going to get rejected. It's going to hurt. You're going to feel embarrassed. And that one time out of 25 asks, you're going to get a dance, and you're going to be happier than you could have imagined. And I'm lucky where now 10 years in, I'm kind of seeing the gratification of that. But yeah, the first couple of years, man, it was tough. It was embarrassing. I'm learning how to, hop around and do these super vulnerable things. And even still, people won't understand kind of what's going on. And they're not trying to deceive me purposely, but you can only control what you do. Even I go to these big races, I can't control who wins that race, but I can control what I do in preparation for that race. And it's kind of about living in that moment and being like, okay, what can I control? What did I do to get here? These other people, even though they're my friends and family, they're going to do what they do. I can't control what they do. And it's usually not going to be what you think it is. They're not
Mm.
going to play this part that you think they are in your mind. And it almost seems like they're deceiving you, but they're just being them. So you have to kind of bring it back to you, be aware in that moment, and do what you can control, which is, what you think and what you do and what you say.
Patrick, what you just said is I mean, it's very, very insightful. It's brilliant, really, that remembering that the people around you, you have created a role for them, that's all your made up story about who they are and how they should play a role and what life they should be living as it compares to yours. And they are sitting there doing the exact same thing about you. And most of us, I wouldn't say all of us, 100% of us on this call are living inside of theater thinking about me. Like every one of us is in our own world, creating our own reality. And so but we spend a disproportionate amount of time worrying about how other people are going to react to things, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, like way more time than we ever should. So your message, focus on what you can control. Be aware that there's only so many things you can control. I love the way you describe who wins the race is really not up to you, right? Like it's not. What's up to you is your race, and who wins is whoever is fastest. But you have no control over the heat before you, the heat after you, the preparation of the person before you, the preparation of the person after you. You have only control of the preparation of yourself and what you put in order to get to the outcome that you want. It's a challenging. I mean, we're in a sales business, right? So in real estate, we wake up every day unemployed. Every day. Every single person on this call got fired last night at when they went to bed and woke up this morning unemployed, right? No one has any idea where their next job is coming from. And so when you wake up every day unemployed, your job every day, you're constantly looking in the mirror for feedback on, am I good enough to go get hired again today? It's a very rapid feedback loop of performance. This industry is full of it. And so the agents on this call are always confronted by that same experience that you just described, being in an environment of constant judgment about good enough, bad enough, not for me, not for you, and constant self-improvement. Because if you don't win, if you go on an appointment or you don't get hired, then how do you make sure that the next time you do? There's something unique about high performers like yourself, though, Patrick. Somewhere along the line, you have the rhetoric, you have the words, you focus on what you control, you're present. I loved what you said, it could always be worse. I'm not dead yet. Like that is often what I say to myself when I'm having a bad day. Like, well, you could be dead, so like suck it up, Buttercup, get to work, like do something about it, right? Because that's the other option, and that one still sucks way more than life. So I'm going to keep going. Um, but high performers have a unique way of like flipping the switch because I know you don't have 100% good days. Nobody does, but there's some flip switch tool, tactic thing that you do. There's a way that you've wired your brain, and I'm always curious how that works. Like, and when did you learn it, and how did you learn it? Was it in learning to, walk again after the accident? Like, where did you figure out, like, okay, I've got this cycle that I can plug into, and I can apply this to everything in my life?
Yeah, I think honestly, even earlier, just my parents were always we were kind of like we didn't have as much as most of the families around us in Connecticut. You're kind of there's a lot of money there, and we just didn't have as much. And it was kind of like, if I want the nice toys and the guys with the pool and a diving board, and then I got to make friends. So I was always kind of good at making friends, and then you kind of realize like, I love this quote is happiness cannot be self-contemplation. It has to be a product of your surrounding. Like, you can
Mhm.
tell me you're the best salesman, but until I see it or everybody around you says you're the best, then I'll believe it. So it's like, you to be the real deal, everybody has to notice that. And that is kind of where, the cream rises to the top. And if you don't think about that moment you're in, develop a good routine and actually start executing, that routine and that schedule and that the, good nutrition or whatever it may be, getting up and doing a run in the morning, like if you actually are in the moment, you decide to do that, and then you're like, oh, I did that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now I got a good routine going, and you kind of see the benefits from that. And now
Mhm.
you're like, oh wow, yeah, people are telling me I'm doing a good job, and then it kind of builds on it. It's kind of like a snowball effect, but definitely in my sport, you kind of have to always have it on and like rather turn it off than have to turn it on and get the engines going. So
Mhm.
you kind of always have to be on
It's
and
easier to stay in momentum, is what you're saying. I could not agree more in everything, right? It's always that first day going back to the gym is always 100 times harder than the 100th day, which is wild, right? It's always 100 times harder than the 100th day. So if momentum is the key, and how many races do you do in a year? Like ranked races, like competitions?
yeah, we'll do World Cup races. They're all in Europe, and we'll do like 35 in a
Okay,
in a
35.
normal season.
So technically 35 big days a year, right? Opportunities to medal, opportunities to compete. How many days a year do you work out or exercise?
A lot, like six to seven.
6 to 7 a week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But you only have to compete 35 days out of the year. So all that time in between is designed to control the outcome on the days when it really counts. What is the what that's I think one of the other things that, like, you heard us talking a little bit with my friend Dan here about creating daily accountability around daily activities that lead to future results. Okay. And like, you have to have daily activities that lead to future results in anything that you want to accomplish. If you want to write a book, you're not going to sit down and write a 400-page book in one sitting. People that write books, they write it over time. They do a little bit every day. They move closer and closer each day toward the outcome that they want. I think that the magic of wild success comes in the small efforts deployed every day. That's everybody I've ever known that's done anything extraordinary just does a little bit every day. So what's that routine look like for you? How do you stay focused on that routine? And do you have accountability in your life? Do you have partners, coaches, friends, people that on the days when you're like, man, I just don't have it, you get up and do it for them? Talk to me about what it's like to be part of a, because skiing is like it's an individual sport, but it says team on your hat. So
Yeah.
how does that work? Talk to us about process of daily motivation, doing small things every day to achieve big things over time. What's that look like inside of the team? Where's the accountability come from? Who's the person? Is it your coach? Is it your friend? Is it your teammate? Like, where does that come from?
Yeah. Funny you say that because I'm used to playing team sports, you know? And if some guy wasn't getting back on defense or wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, yeah, we always had accountability. So it's been interesting kind of learning this new sport and shout out to Dan, appreciate that. I wrote in my log here, you got to start tracking more. You got to track stuff, right? And that's usually, yeah, I got a little diary. I call it a log so that I don't feel like a little princess, but
It's
I
got
am a
flowers.
little
It's
princess.
got
Yeah.
flowers and butterflies on it.
Yeah.
Dear diary, today
It's
I
got
squatted.
butterflies
Yeah,
on it, right?
yeah.
But yeah, that's it is these, when it comes to my job, I take it very serious and I'm really in that moment and I'm like, I'm up 2 hours before any day I'm skiing, most like 6 days a week. I'm up. I do a breathing practice called the Wim Hof. It's like 20, 30 minutes of breathing. I take a cold shower. I do a bunch of stretches and then I go and ski and I really push it. The physical training's pretty hard. I do a lot of dry land. I'm doing like crazy lifts, but I'll lift so I'm working anywhere from like 4 to 8 hours. And then when I'm done, I do not take anything serious. I don't take myself serious. I don't take my life serious.
You
It
mean
is
you
now,
might be caught tricycle riding down a hill or something like that? Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly. And I think that's and I'm trying to be creative, do other things, stuff I'm not good at. I might write some poetry and whatever, like stuff that kind of I am going to be a fool at and I know it, but for the most part, it's kind of these little acts during that day, and I know that's going to add up, and at the end of the week, we get banged up a lot in my sport. There's a lot of crashes, pulled muscles, and I'm kind of lucky where I can, if I don't stretch a couple days, get my hydration correct, then I'll feel that. Or if I have my good sleep schedule going, like I'll feel much better. So it's nice kind of getting that gratification and seeing that, but that's kind of really big is where all these really little things add up, if it's just, doing a 2 minute stretch or 20-minute breathing, like that is going to add up, even if it's just that thought of getting myself out of bed. And I'll see my other teammates, they're not in the same boat. They're all like, some of them are great. It's funny in the Paralympic world, when you get a disability, it seems like it's the two sides of the scale, either the most extreme spoiled brat or like the most resilient, beautiful soul. And like I'm the middle. So
Mm.
it is interesting being on the team. I thought, the training was going to be the hardest thing, skiing all the time, getting up early. But a lot of it was just social interactions with people who are like, basically lazy
Mhm.
and that's fine, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, right? And thank God I'm not, relying for them to get back on defense. But so it's nice that it is an individual sport and I know I'm gonna bust my butt and do everything I can. And at the end of the day, you'll see that when I win, I'll be happier than anybody. Or if I didn't work that hard, maybe when I win, I'll be like, whatever, another medal in the pile. But you're gonna see and you're gonna feel that, and that's kind of where the rubber hits the road is how you feel when you do get that victory.
You know what I again once again a ton of great things to pull out of what you were just talking about. the one that really rings a bell for me right now, specifically talking to the team, is the team dynamic that shows up around, again, an individual sport where you rely on your teammates in order to create an environment of success, right? And so, you said some of these people are basically lazy. And I think it's interesting, and I mean this, there's no one being called out, but it is wildly interesting that people don't realize that everyone can see your performance. Like it's not a surprise. Like there's no one on the team doesn't know who's not pulling their weight or who is pulling their weight. And so I always operated from the perspective of saying it's my job to never be the one that's holding anyone else back. Like it's my, no matter what my own individual performance, whether I was on a wrestling team, which again, it's very similar. It's an individual contributor sport. Your match is your match. You're solo, you're operating. There's no one else out there. It's all on you. If you win, you get points and your team gets points. If you lose, your team gets nothing, right? So it's an individual sport in the moment, but the lead up to it and the after, the environment is what creates champions. Like nobody becomes an exceptional champion inside of a room full of a bunch of people that are half-assing it because they're not driving each other. So I love your sort of analysis around that, and I think it's a really, really important point because we are a team. We operate like a team, just like you. Do you have anybody on the team that's really your like lock arms partner, like somebody that you're like, we're gonna do this, like let's roll.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's yeah, I mean, steel sharpens steel, so I do know that as well. And like, listen, I got that laziness in me too. Like
Sure, no, we
sometimes
all have bad days, totally. Yeah.
sometimes I'm that guy, but yeah, so it is, yeah, it's super nice to have, we got a world champion on the team, Andrew Kirka, and young guys, Jesse, that are kicking my butt. And we have everything. It's people from all walks of life, and that's kind of nice. Team USA is a big team, and even I go over to Europe, and that's kind of the name of the game. And in our sport, in the para world, there's kind of a handicap like golf. And sometimes you see people kind of get caught in this trap of like, are you gonna complain, or are you gonna work hard? And like, there's obviously, you dip your toes in both, but like when it comes down to it, like, you get what you give. Like, we'll see, with results, or even with other people, you're surrounding. Like, if everyone's kind of saying like, oh yeah, he's lazy, he does what he can, but, or if people are, your teams would be like, yeah, this guy, he's pushing the limit, he's showing me this and that. It's like, that's gonna, like, we all got eyes, we're all gonna see it. And
Mm.
yeah.
You reminded me of a quote I once heard, and it was around the team dynamic. And um, I'm probably going to butcher it a little bit, but it was basically like, what if, what if everyone else knew all the excuses you had for yourself? How would they respond to your excuses? And like this idea that you've got this inner monologue of all the reasons why you can't or you shouldn't or it's not for you or whatever, and it's all going on in your head. And this message is basically, what if all of that was out there in the world and other people were able to see it? How would they respond? And 99% of the time you just think about that and go, oh, they would decimate me. Like my excuses are not there. They would absolutely eviscerate my excuses and make me a better person. And so sometimes we just need to say it out loud. And I think that's really what the value of a team environment is being around people that will do that, which requires trust and vulnerability. And like Dan being able to get on a call this morning with 30 of us and talk about his successes and challenges this week. We got to have an environment like that. So what do you're working now on? When's the next race? And are you in Canada right now? Is that what I saw? I saw some Facebook posts that looked like you were in Mont Tremblant, or is that like last week or?
Yeah, no, not in Canada. I'm in America right now.
Okay.
Uh, we got Canada at the end of this year, end
Yeah.
of March, but right now I'm in Colorado Springs at the Olympic
Okay.
Training Center. And
Awesome.
yeah, I'm lucky enough to have residency here, so I can kind of use as a nice little home base. bounce in and out. Whenever I get beat up, I kind of come here. They have like a huge medical staff, and it's awesome. But yeah, the season is over. We just had our last World Cup. I was in France, Austria, and Switzerland.
That's
It was
amazing.
it was amazing. I'm so fortunate I get to just kind of look at these beautiful landscapes. But honestly, yeah, and like it's funny because yeah, you just ask people how they're doing, and everybody usually, unless especially if you're not in this team environment, it's funny because everybody's just like, oh, I'm good, yeah, I'm doing great, and like it's like, are you really? Are you really doing good every time I ask you? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
at the moment, I had a bad year. I had a bad off season. I saw what happened. If you have a bad off season, it's tough to have a good season, and it's been a long road. And I am super happy that they haven't named the team yet, but I believe I will be named to the team going to Cortina Milano Paralympic Games in Italy, and that'll be, I got flights and everything, so I think I'm going, but I they haven't named the team yet, but that's kind of the next big thing is and it's really, especially when you're kind of being humbled all year and you're just, you're not getting all the sales you thought you were, and these
Mm-hmm.
big things are kind of falling through. It's like, do the results matter? Is it just about, focusing on your relationships, I'm doing everything I can, but sometimes that's not enough, and I'm just really excited. I think I'll be able to make it to Italy with my mom and dad who have never left the country. It'll be their first time in Europe, and that's kind of where
Amazing.
my next big thing is. Yeah, going to Italy with mom and dad, and I'll
I
get to
love that.
kind of
I
show the
mean,
world this
you
performance. You know.
one of the things you just touched on, Patrick, is so powerful around, recognizing that there are going to be times when you think you've done everything you can and the results don't match what you believe your effort deployed has been. And those are the times when I call it fuck ititis steps in, when you start getting into like, oh, fuck it. Like, I'm just not, you just start to mentally quit, and like, we've all been there, right? I've got people on this team have been there. You've been there around a workout program, around a nutrition program, around anything. And you get into that mindset where you're like, it's just not for me. And I always say like, that's just the exit ramp to quitting. Like you just start getting off the exit ramp. Like you put the blinker on and maybe you don't get off. And a lot of times, all it really takes is somebody else to be like, no, dude, there's more here for you. Like you're not done yet. You're not done yet. So you said you had a bad year. I mean, you competed in the Olympics and went to more countries than I did. So it sounds like, from my perspective, you had a really good year. But that said, not to your own expectations. So within the year coming up, in order to change the outcome, you've got to change some of your playbook. How are you adjusting to have a better year this year? What's new, right? What's new in your routine? What's new in your program? How are you looking at your daily workouts, looking at your competitive environment and saying, okay, this is what the outcome was last year. This is how I'd like it to be different this year, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I think it's the same for everybody, but at least for me, like I never learned anything from winning all the time, and this year I think I learned more than I ever had because for every year before this, I've every day just been getting better and better and better. And it's kind of the fact where I was new and I didn't have the results. I just made Beijing 22. I barely made the team. I was wild carded in. I wasn't as good, right? I have been getting better every day and every day. And then this summer, I had a bunch of big crashes. I missed training. I didn't get to use my equipment. I got every excuse in the world, but I'm still fighting and there's so many times I want to just take that exit route. I've been looking, into every other thing I could do and I should quit and this and that. And it's like, no, like I'm not gonna quit. Like I am going to, Far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy nor suffer much, because they live in the gray twilight that knows not victory nor defeat. Like,
Mm,
you gotta just try,
mm.
you gotta go and you gotta dare and you gotta take that step and not just give up. And like, if you give up now, you're just gonna that's gonna be your thing, and
That's
that's
it.
never, yeah, that's never been my thing. And it's kind of funny that, 12 years into this, I still have the same problems I did year one. It's like, oh, I feel vulnerable, and oh, this is gonna be scary and hard. And but like, to circle back, I think the one thing that I really learned is, that vulnerable, that embarrassed, that fear. I've been avoiding that, and I feel like I almost overcame fear when I don't think you can't overcome fear. Like, you
Yeah.
got to use that fear, feel those emotions, and have the experience to make the right decision. When that scared feeling comes up, I'll be calm, cool, and collected, and I'll make whatever decision I make. But I'm gonna focus on using that fear, not just,
The
trying to
the the
avoid it.
uh, the saying goes that courage is not the absence of fear, it's the bravery to take action in spite of it. That you do it anyway. I'm still afraid. My father was a New York City fireman, and I asked him that, over after 32 years of running into high rises that were ablaze and on fire. I said, "Did you ever, when did you stop getting scared?" And he was like, "Never. Every time I went into a fire, I was afraid." And he's like, "We just learned to operate inside of the fear and be able to do it anyway." And I think that's the truth for anything that's holding you back. You're often, being and by the way, the other part of this that I think is really interesting is we make up our own fear. Like there are people that are afraid of public speaking, right? And you go like, then there's people that aren't and say, okay, well, where did that come from? Like you're not actually born with those fears. Like you create them at some point in your life, something happens that leads to something else, that leads to something else. And then it teaches you, well, this is a thing that I'm not good at or I'm afraid of. So if you can make it up at a young age before you can even recollect or remember why it scared you, you can actually rewire it and just decide it's not something that's scary. Right? Like that is the ultimate life hack, which is just to decide, yeah, I don't really mind this thing. I changed my mind. I'm not afraid of it anymore. It won't work the first time, but you do it enough times and it'll work. And then eventually that thing doesn't intimidate you anymore. You said something really cool, and I don't think you even know that you said it. It was the way you phrased, you were talking about what made this year challenging, a bunch of crashes, you didn't have your equipment, you missed some training, like all this stuff. And then you said, I got every excuse. And it reminded me of a time in my life. It was probably 2013 or 2014 when I was in this business and I was having a really hard season. I was having a hard season. And in that season, I started, and some of the folks on the team have heard this story before. I haven't told it in a while. I took a piece of paper out one day and I folded it up and I started writing down all the shitty things that had happened to me. It was as if I needed to like get my head around it. So I started writing them all down. And then that one day I wrote them down and I folded it and I put it in my pocket. And then later that day, something happened or I had a phone call that didn't go well or whatever. And I took the piece of paper out and I wrote it down again and put it in my pocket. And then the next day when I woke up, I put that piece of paper in my pocket. And I went through my day and something shitty happened or somebody was mad at me and I wrote it down. And then somewhere around 3 or 4 days, I felt so validated by my failures. I felt so validated. Look at me. Look at how shitty my life is. And this other voice in my head chimed in and was like, "You dummy. You're literally collecting losses. You're literally walking through life physically collecting losses. How about you throw the paper?" It was so eye-opening in that moment that we frame ourselves around what our outcomes are based on how we see life. Because yes, all of the things I wrote down were true, but like anything, when you're experiencing life through the filter of losses or through the filter of excuses or the filter of bad things that happen to you, what you start doing is you start collecting them, and then you start including things that maybe they're not really a loss, but you're like, oh, and I got a flat tire that day, and my wife made the chicken and didn't cook it all the way, and the groceries were bad. Oh my God, and my kids were, and the dog shit on the carpet, and all of a sudden everything fits inside the reasons why your life isn't working out for you. But you have to just flip it, tear the piece of paper up, and start collecting wins. Because every day there's those two pieces of paper, there's the wins and there's the losses. So I just threw the losses away. And I actually took a piece of paper out and said wins. And I started going through my day collecting wins. And what it did is you said again, I got all the excuses, almost like you were collecting them. I got them and I put them in the closet so that I had them. And then you have to make a decision. It doesn't matter if I have them. I have to do something different in order to get a life that is different than that one that's amounted from the losses. So I loved how you phrased that, Patrick. Thank you. Um, what would you like to tell the team? What's on your mind today? You've got again, this is a high performance group of individuals that get up unemployed every day. They got to muster up the energy to get out there and do something different, do something hard, face rejection. Every day somebody says we're not for them. That's okay. We got to just do it again the next day. What's inside of you right now? What's the burning desire to share with us?
Yeah, I guess just goes along, with a lot of what I'm saying is, rather just, try it. If you're thinking, oh, maybe I'll do this or that, it's, try it. Like just, see that reality,
Mm,
see if what you're thinking's real. And also just for the living in the moment, like, and that living in the moment, that's so important because one, like you have to build that experience. Like it's not just like, oh, all of a sudden I'm great at living in the moment now and I can do that, but you need to get the experience and practice that and get better at it. You want to get good at soccer, you got to go to soccer practice. Like it's just the reality of it. You got to stack those hours up, but yeah, as far as if you're not living in that moment, you're going to be thinking of the future or the past. If you're thinking of the future, you're going to get anxiety. If you're thinking of the past, you're going to get depression. Really, when you're in the moment, that's the only time where you can count your wins.
wow.
It's like that time where you're like, and not only can you count your wins, but you can make some wins. You can, go say something nice, go have a cup of coffee, like something, those little things will add up. And that really only comes when you're in the moment. If you're thinking of that future, like obviously you might have some great, vacation plans, something like that coming up, but that's all great. But usually when you're thinking of the future, you're thinking about how scared you are about some situation that you're going into, and you're like, oh, I should, prepare and do this and that. And yeah, that's great, but like, what are you going to do right now? Are you going to think about how scared you are of that, or are you going to think about, the ex that what would she have thought, a year ago, and bring those dark thoughts, and and if you're not in that moment, and even that's when you can combat those too. You can put dialogue to those dark thoughts or those scared thoughts of the future or past. And it's really about just trying to be self-aware in the moment, not worrying about, oh, that guy got that easy sale because he knew somebody, and oh, that person, they lived there for 20 years, so that's why they sell over there. Like if you're thinking about those other people, like getting off easy or finding, a BOGO sale at the thrift store, and you're not gonna, when are you gonna get your break? Like your break's not coming.
Mhm.
It's not coming. We all think, security and excitement and purpose is just around this next corner. Like it's not coming. I'm sorry. It is not coming. You gotta make it. You gotta be right in the now, and you gotta make that excitement, purpose, and security. You already got it. You got it in you, and it's time to execute it.
Amen. That is so, so powerful. Thank you, Patrick. Do you have a couple minutes for some questions from the team?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Guys, I'd love to see what you have to say, what you have to share. I got a bunch of hands coming up. While we wait for people to form their questions, Patrick, one last thing for you from me. What advice would you give yourself going back to just after the accident? You know, you've just gone through this traumatic experience. You have the opportunity to go back, you know, it's 13 years ago. Look at yourself and tell yourself what you need to hear in that moment. What is the advice you would give yourself? What would you say to yourself back then?
I would say dream big because it's going to happen and it's going to be better than you thought.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I just got chills.
Yeah.
Joe, what are you thinking, Joe? Thank you, Patrick. Love it.
Patrick, thanks for coming on, man. I love having athletes or people that have athletic background, and obviously, coming through what you have is awesome and inspiring, and just the way you articulated it is something that I never heard before, and I'll take home in terms of if you're thinking about the future, you're gonna have anxiety and the past depression. I've never heard that before articulated in a way, but extremely powerful, and it definitely resonated with me when I find myself either in a state of not feeling great about what I've, where I am. It's because I'm worried about what I did in the past, and getting anxious is because what I'm trying to chase in the future. So being grounded and level in the moment is 100% what I focus on trying to get to every way, and putting guardrails up like you mentioned is just a very great point. So thanks for sharing.
I
Yeah.
love
No,
that.
thank you.
Love that, Joe. Thank you. Sorry, Patrick. Go ahead. Say if you had something to say.
No, and I mean, it's not like you're gonna, I still think about the past all the time. Like we all do. We're all just human. When it really comes down to it, we've been so brainwashed to being self-centered that it's so hard. We're never going to get rid of it. But yeah, just the little seconds where you're like, "Oh right, don't think about the past," or don't think, those really add up. We got thousands of thoughts a day and we don't realize how powerful each and every one is.
Yeah, I love that. Just listening to Joe articulate that, what struck me is you can't be happy in the future and you can't be happy in the past. You can only be happy right now. And that the more time you spend, whether you're imagining your amazing future or whatever, it's not now. The only time when you're truly happy is in the moment, is now. And so your future happiness is uncertain. It's going to depend on how you operate in this moment. And the past is already gone. So it's going to depend on how you operate in this moment. And so your joy, your fulfillment, the life that you want is already here. So you have to figure out how to enjoy it in the moment. I love that. Dan Raposo, what are you thinking?
It's so funny that we all like. I feel like you, me, Joe. We all like, and plus probably a ton of other people all like really honed in on that. I put it in the chat as well because that was a huge kind of eye opener for me as well. But the question that I kind of had for you, Patrick, before is like, how like, all right, you have this accident. You go through like, at what point did you decide, you know what, I'm gonna be a Paralympic skier? Like, like that's not a normal thing, right? This is one of the things that intrigues me about people who just do who do wild things, and then not just do wild things, but have success in it, build a life around it, you know, like you travel all over the world to do this. Like, at what point did you decide this is what I'm gonna do, and and I'm gonna do whatever it takes for me to be able to do that? Like, what did that look like for you, or what was that process like for you? How did you arrive at that? Like, how did you build toward it? Things like that.
Yeah, totally. I'm glad you said that because this is like probably the best part of who I am. But it wasn't me. It was my identical twin brother Lucas. He had dropped out of college his senior year and he had become a ski patroller up in Vermont. And he would take a day off and he would volunteer with a disabled ski program. If you volunteered a day, you'd get a free day pass. So he'd go skiing with my father, who used to be a skier way back in the 70s. So 3 years later, that's when I lose my leg. That was even before I lost my leg. So my brother and my father actually knew that I could ski before I did. I didn't know you could ski with one leg. I didn't know disabled people could ski. I didn't know what the Paralympics were. And the same year I lost my leg, they equaled the Paralympics to the Olympics, or at least the payout for a medal. It went up like $40,000. So, I kind of ignorantly was like, oh, I'll just be a Paralympian, whatever. Like, they're going to let me compete against disabled people. It's going to be easy. And it was way harder than I thought. I've been on the national team. This is my fourth year, but it basically took me a decade of like just shit to get here. But now I'm here, so whatever.
It's
But
amazing.
yeah, that's kind of how it all started, was really just, yeah, my brother's only good idea he's ever had in his life was, yeah, me becoming a skier. And yeah.
I love that. I love you're like, they're gonna let me compete against disabled people. You're like, I'm gonna crush. Like, it's so good. Like,
Yeah.
but the part that's so beautiful about that is like the not acknowledging or experiencing it as if you were disabled. You're like, well, I'm not. So I love it, man. I love it. So
Yeah.
good, so powerful. Jeremy, what are you thinking, buddy? What are you thinking?
First, I mean, he drops so many unbelievable knowledge bombs, and then I'm going to quote that for the rest of the day because I just might have tinkled a little bit laughing. That was fucking fantastic. Your spirit is amazing. Listen, go Team USA.
Yeah,
Uh, you're gonna have
baby.
you're gonna have a monster Olympics. Today's like Christmas Eve, opening ceremonies. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, Dan actually stole my question because I want to know how you got into this. But my other one was going to be say, I love that you do the Wim Hof breathing because when I started doing Wim Hof breathing, that's what brought me into living in the present. There you go. That's what I'm talking
We're the
about.
same.
That's yes. When you're back in Connecticut, we're going out for a beverage.
Love it.
Um, after you win your gold medal. But congratulations, good luck, kick some ass over there, and keep Wim Hoffing, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a big part of my routine. Just, yeah, it's my meditation. And that's, I'm even proud to just say, like, I don't tell a lot of people that, honestly, because they just think you're a weirdo. But
Oh,
that's like,
this is
yeah,
a safe space. We
This
do a lot.
this is
We
a
do a
real
lot of weird.
safe space.
Yeah. We do a
yeah,
lot of
I can
weird shit
feel it.
here,
I
buddy.
can feel
Oh
the
yeah.
love. I really appreciate all you guys.
There's
Thank
a
you.
lot of weird. There's a lot of weird shit going on this team. It's all. We'll
And,
try
and
anything. We'll try anything to get it to move
Wim
forward.
just might be king of the weirdos, and he's a great
Yeah. Awesome. I'm gonna jump to Kasha and Tori. I'm gonna let you close us out. So, Kasha, what are you thinking?
I am thinking that I'm so grateful for today, and you're so soft spoken and so humble. And when you are dropping those gold nuggets, I scroll through your Instagram, and what you do is freaking insane. Like insane. People go and look what this guy is doing with his body, and then try to compare this to the image of this like calm person who is just so humble.
Hmm.
And it's amazing. One thing that, as a good Auntie Kasha, I'm going to ask you to do is throw away the word try.
Hmm.
Done.
Yeah. Well, the calm demeanor comes from the being in the moment. Like the people the more people I see that live in these highs and lows, that they always have an emotional temperance around like the way they approach life. And it's because again, it's in the present, it's in the present. So I love it. Thank you, Kasha. Thank you for sharing. So Tori, your friend Patrick just knocked the socks off everybody.
I knew
So
he would.
take us home, Tori. Tell us what you're thinking.
Well, thank you, Pat, for coming on. I totally was going to ask a really light question, so I'm still going to do it. But I feel like this is the perfect time for you to share about how you live in a van because we're all real estate agents, and that's just such a like
I
odd
mean, we
thing.
might know somebody that could help you with a house, Pat. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Someday when you're old and domesticated.
Yeah, I'm still feral, so we'll see.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
are you living van life?
Yeah, I got residency at the Olympic Training Center now, so I basically have like a dorm, like a nice dorm room on this like camp. This like I finally made it to college. Like I always wanted to make it on the D1 team or whatever. I finally made it. It's amazing. It saves me, I mean, thousands of dollars, like free food, hour massage a week, hour physical therapy. It's amazing.
It's
And
enough to make me think about trying to, you know, compete, right? Let's see. Free
three
massages. Sounds
fingers.
great.
Three, you just got to cut off three fingers and you can compete.
Oh, is that the qualifier?
Yeah.
You just said that to the wrong group. We're gonna have a whole
With
lot of hospital visits,
do
and
they
you'll be
have to
like,
be
"I'm
on the
in."
same
Yeah.
hand, or could I be like, all right, I'm gonna do the two pinkies and then like one ring
Two
finger?
digits, three fingers, anything you want.
Oh
Anything you
man.
want.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I
awesome.
mean, that was kind of that's part of it, right? That's why, I kind of ooze empathy. Some people like kind of don't like it because I'm always kind of happy in this good mood, but like, yeah, I mean, I was, 7 years in a van, and then I would go to New Zealand and I would live in a van there, and I would do 2 winters. Their seasons are opposite. So, and I've built my van up now. Now I have a nice heater. It's kind of like glamping, but like, 5 years, I was just freezing in a sleeping bag. I would sleep with all my produce and water so it didn't freeze because I'm up in the Rockies where it sometimes Celsius and Fahrenheit equal out. It's at like -40. So like, yeah, like I've kind of, even like what Kasha is saying, like I'm the article. I'm the real deal. Like I'm the guy that what you see is what you get. I put in the time and the hours, and that's why, I know I am, I'm destined for greatness, whatever that may be. At the moment, it's gonna be seeing my mom and dad in Italy cheer for me in a ski race that it's gonna be unreal. And I'm so happy, and that it's because I've been sad. You can't have uh you can't have sunshine without the rain. You can't have joy without the pain. Like, I've been there. I've been sad, I've been mad, so I can be happy now. And like that's the duality of life. There's no free lunch, and if you do, you put that work in and you execute the plan, then it'll probably work out. Like all you got to do is be nice and work hard. It's just extremely hard to be nice and work hard. Like, so,
It's a
like,
lot of work. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Patrick, this has been unbelievable. Mic drop moment right there. Thank you so much. So before we depart, how can we help you, man? What you got 35 people here that you've made a difference today. You've impacted a lot of lives. You've given all of us something to think about, something to move forward with today. Where can we support you? Is there a social following we could chime in on? Is there a charity we can contribute to? Is there something that is meaningful to you that this group can show up and support you on?
Um, yeah, I got my Instagram. Definitely always, promote my Instagram or YouTube, I guess. And, I love the Saint Bernard Church in Rockville, Vernon area. That's my go-to church, or St. Matthew's. It's the same pastor works at both of those, which is crazy because my brother grew up going to school at St. Bernard's and I went to St. Matthew's, and now I went back home for Thanksgiving and I went to go see a service, and it was the same pastors at both of them. He's running both of them. I was like, this is crazy. What's going
he's,
on? But
he's putting the work in, saving souls,
yeah,
man. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, saving souls, baby.
It's good
But
stuff.
yeah, just be intense with love, not harshness. Just yeah, be good. Be
Great message.
good.
Great message. Thank you, Pat. Thank you so much. Guys, get on Patrick's social, go find him, follow him, share his message. He's got obviously a lot of good to give it to the world and a lot of people that would benefit from hearing from him. So let's be loud about it. Thank you so much, Patrick. Guys, you know the deal. It's Friday. That means you've got a weekend ahead of you, which means open houses, opportunities. There's all these people out there just dying to hire you. They're waiting. They're waiting for you to show up in their life to help them with the things that they need. But they're only going to find you if you get out there and engage the world. So make today the day that you do it. Get your plans tied up. And by the way, it's Super Bowl Sunday on Sunday. So the tone, the temperament, the energy is going to be high. People are going to be excited. A lot of people like to buy houses on Super Bowl Sunday. So make Super Bowl Sunday your Super Bowl. Go out and get some deals together. Love and appreciate y'all. Go make it happen. Sign, sell, set. Make the deal. See you later. Patrick,
Thank you, Patrick.
Tori, thank you for inviting
Thank you
Patrick
all.
today. Appreciate you.